Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the weekly feedback featuring your host Caveman PRDR, and today we're going to be doing a different style video. I think I'm just going to do stuff where I react to things that have happened throughout the week in Destiny 2 and maybe some other things going on with Bungie, but specifically I'm going to try to gather some topics to talk about and put them in a video format. So I feel like the first thing I wanted to go over, addressing some of the airborne effectiveness, and after the previous TWAB from last week, we actually have a tweet thread from Mercules quote retweeting the December 1st TWAB, which features him saying TLDR. Airborne effectiveness is getting a large rebalance in the future, with primary weapons becoming significantly more accurate without any investment in the stat, like Season 16's Icarus level accuracy, the season before airborne effectiveness was introduced. In the meantime, Artifact Helmet mod grants AE and Air Assault gives plus 30 on kills. That's not together. There is a literal helmet mod in the game that gives airborne effectiveness. Not that it's necessarily a 30 stat total. And then air assault also gives plus 30 on kills, and the rework is inside the TWAB itself. I'm not going to go over the entire TWAB because this is not a TWAB cover video. But I guess some other things to note. They said fixed pellet spread and custom shotgun reticles. I'm excited about that. Falcon will no longer have a damage boost on invis exit from PvP. Excellent change we've been looking forward to. One of the ones I've been looking for the most forward to. Forerunner and Drain being brought down a bit. DMT hipfire buff now prefers crits. Big changes to the fundamentals, Encore, and Headseeker perks. So that's just kind of him going over what was in the TWAB. So that was one. Aerial effectiveness was a little bit of a subject, and some of the stuff that was going on in the TWAB. The seasonal weapon in the past is called the Manticore. So basically, how it works, it's an SMG. When you're on the ground and you do damage, you fill up a bar that's on the left side, and what that bar does is that it allows you to have a anti-grav repulsors when you jump up into the air. So when you start shooting from the air, you can deal extra damage while in the air from what you would normally use on the ground. And from what I've understood and seen reviews of, the stats on the Manticore are actually not bad. They're not as good as some max range funnel web rolls, but this thing can actually kind of compete in that SMG archetype. So I don't want to make this a weapon review about this gun, but there is a little bit of truth to this gun being decent to play with, in my opinion. It's not going to be just as good as your best funnel web roll, but it could have its perk. It could have its use, and you could probably have some fun with it if you like the aerial play. We'll move to the next topic now that I believe I want to discuss, and that is the Shaxx rework. Shaxx has a rework that is similar to what Drifter had a few seasons ago, where you can focus the Crucible weapons. I like this change, to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and say I love it because I've played a lot of Crucible and I've gotten a lot of drops for these already. Weapons I mainly looked forward to in the first place were Stars and Shadow, Frozen Orbit. Frozen Orbit's one of the best snipers in the game. Interested in the Crisis Inverted, but I haven't found a role that I've really wanted to play with yet, and Out of Bounds, solid.
On your way, Guardian.
But yeah, Shaxx pretty much just has it to where he can get his own individual his own individual engrams, and you can decode them right there in front of him. It's a change I like. Maybe this stuff might be a little bit too costly. I personally don't really invest in doing that, but I like getting the legendary shards. So, I like that change about Shaxx. And moving along to another topic, really the population, kind of the outcry regarding the seasonal model pretty much being the same for the last 6 or so seasons now. I can't remember who it was that said it and said it best, but they said that seasons, it was very recently that this was said, like seasons 13 through 18 have been very consistent with their model and have been very consistent with not shaking up the game a lot. In terms of a bunch of functionality, like, yes, we did get the 3.0 introductions in that time span, but in terms of how the seasonal model has come around, it's pretty much been the exact same. You get a vendor over in the Crown of Sorrow. You get a vendor at the War Table for Season of the Risen, Season of the Haunted, and we have a vendor for Season of the Plunder. And now we have one for Season of the Seraph, which we are currently in for Season 19. And spoiler alert if you haven't played it yet, it is Clovis Bray as an Exo hooked up to a machine. He is as annoying as you would remember, but that is okay. At least he's not the Drifter. But yeah, people are complaining about the seasonal models because you go in, it's the same old thing. You maybe have a vendor bar you rank up with, you have the bounties, and then you have the same 2x7, 3x7 grid up here to do. That's part of the seasonal model. Maybe you can focus some of the stuff, and you get the same old seasonal artifact generally through the first mission of the season. You get that and you drop it early. We're going to go back to the focus of people not really being happy with the seasonal model, as it's something that this is the same system we've had for the last 6-7 seasons now. I personally have not had the biggest issue with it, but I can see why people are wanting to complain about the seasonal model, because like I've said before, it is starting to get repetitive. And Bungie actually had made responses. Let's literally go to the tweet. So it said, I just wanted to step in and say, hear loud and clear on the feedback with our current seasonal backbones. The team's excited to put some more creative risk in seasonal progressions, but there will be some time before the feedback catches up with the dev cycle. Preview, coming up as Lightfall in Season 20. While Guardian ranks and Neomuna destination pursuits are going to shake things up on the seasonal pursuit side, our major focus is reducing complexity and improving the synergy between your seasonal pursuits and the rest of the game. Season 21 is at the halfway mark of development right now, and the team is currently looking at ways to differentiate progression aside from having a more novel activity set up in the works. Finally, as the last bugs on Season 20 and Lightfall are wrapping up, we're hardening our 2023 plans and are working to make improvements in this space every season next year. There's still novelty, thematic variety, and new ways to progress your characters coming to Destiny within the next several months, but while we work to use this feedback in our future releases, I wanted to make sure everyone knows that your words are not falling on deaf ears. So, the people that are kind of getting fed up with the seasonal model, Joe Blackburn has acknowledged it. And they have pretty much confirmed to us that it's kind of hard to make immediate changes to the cycles because they're already pretty much like 5.5 months ahead of the current schedule as far as development goes, which is totally fine and totally reasonable. So they said that they're literally halfway through working on Season 21. So maybe we see changes in Season 22 that help with the the issue with that. So, gonna move along to a different topic now. So, I think Bungie's been receiving some backlash, especially on Twitter from the community, especially the PvP community, regarding a quick play. I know Sheik, I think it's pronounced Sheik, or known as Destiny Fun Police. I know he's tweeted out recently about PvP, especially the with the decisions to swap over to SPMM, and I think Ill Physics even recently, a guy who's been acknowledged as being a positive representative of the PvP community, speaking out with the changes to PvP, or with with frustrations of the current meta and the changes to comp really not living up to his expectations. So casual Crucible quick play rotators find a fair game, make friends, and stay on as long as you're having fun. This was kind of the idea for the quick play, real life comparison pickup games at the gym. In my opinion, Team Quick Play, it's not unplayable, but the games for me personally feel harder than just pickup games at a gym. Like, I don't know, it's just it seems like everyone wants to sweat, or everyone is hard to play against, which is like, I don't know, maybe it's like something that I should see coming in the TWAB, or see coming from SBMM. But anyway, in my opinion, I think the SBMM is tuned a little bit too much. I would love to see this go back to CBMM. And no, I'm not a pub stomper. You can look up my stats and know that I'm not a pub stomper. And I don't want to see any of this. So you just want to stomp on people. You can look up my stats. My stats are not good. I do not want to just pub stomp people. I want to have good connections all the time, and I don't want to sweat every single game that I play. And I feel like I have to sweat during casual Crucible when it's supposed to be casual. Iron Banner is dropping CBMM, and they're also implementing loose SBMM now, which is frustrating to me, but that's fine. I feel like when I'm playing Iron Banner, I should sweat an Iron Banner anyway, so I don't hate the change on here, but I would really like for CBMM to be back in a casual Crucible. Trials of Osiris, prove your skill against worthy rivals, real life comparison, high stacks pro am tourneys, or high stakes rather. Um, I mean, Trials is a loot playlist at this point, right? You're not even pitting rank against yourself. You're just or against each other. It's literally just it's going to be fire team based matchmaking and ticket based matchmaking from what they've had before. I mean, you're fighting for loot, but you're not really fighting for rank or anything. So we'll see. Like, don't get me wrong. When I go in trials, I'm going into play, and I'm going into play as hard as I can. So it's fair. Ranked play, fair matches, measure yourself, growth, see what you can do. Stakes are always high. Real life comparison, local recreational leagues. When I played my placement games for comp this week, that's pretty much exactly what it felt like. I think outside of one match of Rift I played where I had a 2 KD, I know it's not saying much, but that game felt fairly easy, but I'm sure to the enemy team that was hard. So I think overall, the local recreational leagues, I think that's fairly accurate assessment. And I'm not going to go over what they want to do for private matches or what their idea for private matches is, but Anyway, in my opinion, I've seen quite a bit of backlash from the PvP community regarding that, so I wanted to make that a topic to talk about. Whenever this comp rework came around, there is going to be a weekly mission where the Rose hand cannon drops. So I imagine it's like literally participate in one match of comp, or maybe a few matches of comp. I don't know how they're going to do the weekly mission going forward. I know in week one, you had to do 7 placement matches. After you did your 7 placement matches, the rose dropped. Now, the placement matches aren't resetting weekly, so they have to make it a different quest. So I'm interested to see what they'll make the next quest, even if it's just like play 1 to 3 matches per week. I feel like anything outside of that would be excessive to get the Rose drop, but Rose is going to be the only thing dropping from comp in Season 19 that they had announced. We're not getting emblems or anything. Some people are mad about that. I personally don't care that we're not getting emblems for rank ups or whatever. I am perfectly content with playing some, getting a chance for Rose, and then eventually doing a review for Rose. But that was regarding the season comp. Now I want to go over. I guess while we're on the subject of TWABs, there was a recent TWAB that discussed the how they planned to address Gear Falcons, and Gear Falcons is getting like Merkhead mentioned before in his Twitter post. Gear Falcon will no longer have a damage boost on Invis exit from PvP. So how Gear Falcons worked is that it gave you, I think, a 15% damage buff whenever you lost your invis, or whenever you lost invis, like maybe a half second later, you would get a small damage boost for a certain amount of time. They're going to rework Gear Falcon where it no longer does that in PvP. So, awesome rework, very appreciative of that. That was a big problem of the meta going in before Season 19. And they haven't actually implemented the change as of this past week yet, but they will be doing that soon. So I think that is an excellent change. And now I want to talk about a little bit more of the ugly that's been going on here. I'm going to talk about some of the known glitches because these have been fairly important. Now, I think they've actually been kind of overlooked as far as what's happened during the beginning of the season. We have had some glitches, including, so the glitch for Rose, originally the player base was only supposed to get 1 Rose drop this week. We were only supposed to get 1, but if everyone picked up the dividing the ladder quest. So, for example, I play on and maintain 3 characters. So that mission was available for all 3 of my characters. I picked it up on all 3 of my characters before I did my placement matches. When I did my placement matches on my Titan, I got 3 different roses to drop for me. Everyone's only supposed to get 1 for the first week. After this week, they're going to drop once per character. So, I had taken advantage of this glitch while it was available and got 3 rose rolls. Only kept the one that I was content with playing with at the time. I didn't like 2 of them. So, I digress. That was a known glitch. There's another seasonal change glitch where... actually, there's quite a few of them. With the seasonal artifacts specifically, there is Unstoppable Hand Cannon taking longer than usual to have the actual unstoppable round spawn when you ADS. Unstoppable grenade launcher costs a full 7 energy. And unstoppable melee is bugged outside of using artifice armor. So, for example, they low-key pocket nerfed unstable hand cannon, where it takes longer to load in that unstoppable round. Unstoppable grenade launcher takes more cost than usual. And stuff for the class item, let's say a weaken to clear. I'm going to go in here and look for weaken to clear. Weaken clear is available. Let's look for another one on the class item. Let's look for Lord Kelvin's Basilisk and Low Entropy Superconductor. I have these clearly unlocked on my artifact, but they are not available for the class item. So there are a few of these that I have unlocked that are not available for me unless I had Artifice Armor and put them in the Artifice slot. So they're looking into that they're looking into that. So that covers that glitch, and that is something that is definitely flown under the radar. Because that's kind of big. There's some anti-champion viability and some PvE meta that is locked behind that glitch. So hopefully they can get around to fixing that pretty soon. I know most people are not this deep into the artifact right now, so it's okay. I feel like the content as of this point in the season isn't even that hard to really worry about it outside of the heist battlegrounds, and even then, I don't think it's that big of an issue, but they do need to get on it pretty quick because paid for the seasonal activity, paid for the seasonal content, and expect the seasonal content to work as intended. So now we're going to talk about the big ticket item for the week, which is also part of the ugly, and the ugly being the new dungeon, Spire of the Watcher, released on Friday, and we are going to talk about whole fire teams getting kicked from the activity while doing a first ever completion. We're currently investigating a rise in Calabrese, Weasel, and other connection issues from Friday, December 9th, 2022. So they fired up the dungeon, and a lot of people started getting error codes. I was watching Kujay stream. I don't know if it was Saturday I was watching him. I believe it was Saturday I was watching him. And he had the theory or the idea that maybe the reason this is happening is because the dungeon on the client side is sending a lot of feedback back to the servers, and it's causing these issues with the game. So it's not on the player side. So the only thing Bungie immediately could do, as we investigate the ongoing error code issues, we have temporarily disabled the following features for web, mobile, and third-party apps: D2 vendors, item perks, mods, and subclass options. So, in other words, if you played this weekend, you played without DIM. And that's something a lot of the player base has not done in a very long time. Before this weekend, the main reason I went to the vault was to clear out the vault for items and to free up space. So this was a major issue. There were a lot of people disconnecting. The dungeon released had a ton of issues with connectivity with the Calabrese and Weasel errors. So in return, had to disable third-party apps in order to keep the input of the apps to the servers, to keep the server stable. So I do believe they had tweeted out Incoming Destiny 2 background maintenance hotfix 6.3.0.1. Timeline December 12th. So they're going to be starting on this tomorrow. I guess I'll just look at this real quick. So yeah, undergoing maintenance. I'm assuming this background maintenance is going to be something that helps with the dungeon and the issues that it was causing. Either this background maintenance or the actual patch itself on Tuesday. I'm expecting the error code issues or whatever it is that's causing the error code issues to be resolved by then, and then we should be able to get back to using dim and stuff this upcoming week. So as far as the weekly feedback, that's really all I had as far as topics were concerned. If you have any topics or anything that you want to talk about that I missed, or if there was any comments to anything that I had talked about, feel free to let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and have a great rest of your day.